We just witnessed something amazing unfold for the Boston Celtics as in their first summer league game with a lot of question marks surrounding a lot of players and who could potentially step up for this Celtics team. Plenty of players shined out and definitely looked spectacular in this game. And I think plenty of them could not only fit into Joe Mazzulla's offense from one of the key rotational players that we saw from the Celtics roster already playing, but guys that could mesh into that G League roster as well to give them another competent run that we've seen in the past. And Brad Stevens and the Celtics have been doing absolutely fantastic, and we got to rejoice in some great Celtics basketball. After a long wait, we finally got it, and it was well rewarding. Welcome back to Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz with my co-host Patrick Billings. And Patrick, you mentioned before we went into the stream or into the video here today that this game was just simply fun, and I think that's like the best way to truly describe getting back into Celtics basketball today.
Yeah, I hope a lot of you guys watching were able to watch this game, because I did say in the stream that it was going to be fun to watch this team in Summer League, and it definitely was. It was an awesome start, and everybody played a decent amount, played very well on all ends of the floor, and it was honestly a really fun game.
Yeah, ultimately, I thought it was absolutely spectacular to see just the Celtics back out there in general. But like you mentioned, they played hard on the offensive end, really hustled on the defensive end, and were able to get something very solid out. So without further ado, guys, we're going to dive in and explore what really broke down into the game and who really made an impact here today, as this was, once again, great to see having the Celtics back there, out there on the court. And Patrick, like we mentioned in this game, we saw the Boston Celtics win 92-78. It was a little bit of a blowout there in the first half. Grizzlies kind of made it closer in the third quarter, a little bit in the fourth, and the Celtics were able to pull away. From looking at some team stats, you can kind of see comparative to the Grizzlies how the Celtics did play. But when looking at the Celtics box score, there are a lot of names here, Patrick, and I want to ask you, who was the one that really jumped out to you the most here on this list?
Yeah, I mean, look at the scoring. It's very spread out. So that's how you could tell that this game was fun. Everyone was getting involved. But I think Hugo Gonzalez definitely stood out. I mean, he definitely made his mark in his first game, playing well on both ends of the floor, kind of showing that energy and that off-ball pressure that he does on the offensive end and on the defensive end. This is what they drafted him for. This is the highly, what's the word I'm looking for? Just there was a lot of interest in him about a year ago going in the draft. About going higher, kind of mid-lottery, and he fell to the Celtics, and everyone, even us, kind of like annoyed about the pick at the time, but now we're kind of seeing why the Celtics like this guy, because of his motor and his mentality. You see him in the interview because he had to go right back out there to the quarter at the beginning, but he was talking quick, trying to get to the point, but you could see the demeanor that he has too. Like, he's really got this professional type of like mentality to him already at 19 years old. I mean, we know he was with Real Madrid since he was 9 years old. Played pro for 2 years. I think 2022 I think was his first pro career debut. So, I mean, you could already see in his mentality the type of player that he is. And, I mean, man, it showed in the first game. I mean, maybe it's not the biggest stat line that you want to see already, the way that I'm talking about it. But it is Summer League. Everyone's feeling each other out already. But, I mean, it was awesome to watch him play and play well.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit that on all cylinders. A lot of people were very questionable with this pick, including us not really knowing much research on him, but we always have to put that trust into Brad Stevens like we have in the past, and luckily it's been able to at least show us some good promise so far with Ugo's first performance. You mentioned he was able to do things not only on the ball here, being a little bit of a playmaker, had a nice little flashy pass down low in the paint, I believe it was, to Charles Bassey or Maury Williams at one point in the first half, was making some smart plays, but also defensively was able to lock in, be that little gritty pest alongside Cam Spencer. They were getting into some little tussles there on the court, but it was kind of funny, kind of locking in that mentality. And then you mentioned the interview that he did, talking really fast, really just sticking to the point. My buddy was over, I was kind of like, damn, that kind of sucks that he's got to do an interview in the middle of the quarter. Like, just let him play the game. He's a rookie. He's trying to make an impression. And you also notice with Hugo Gonzalez that there was a lot of frustration kind of coming out of him when he did these misses and stuff like that. And I tweeted out that kind of matches the Celtics' energy to a key, not only just like his motor and his hard working and relentless attitude, but just his play style fits. But it's clear when he gets frustrated on these misses that Joe is going to love this. I think he's going to use this as motivation to bring out the best in Ugo for this lineup. And I can't wait to see what that ultimately is. I'm not going to obviously scream because it's a summer league game that he's going to be a key rotational piece, but I truly do think from our first performance that we we did see from him, he absolutely highlighted what the Boston Celtics fans wanted to see. And not only just that, answered some quarrels as well, hit some threes, kind of stepping into them as well. Like, was very confident in that shot making ability, which was very, very transcendent from him. Another player as well that really stood out for the Boston Celtics as well, Patrick, is someone that we have not sold our stock on, and that is Jordan Walsh. Came in and made some immediate impacts at 12 points in the first half, hit some wide open threes, felt more confident in that jump shot. And I feel like this was the Jordan Walsh that a lot of people were expecting in last year's Summer League. But even though it didn't happen, at least we're seeing it now.
Yeah, they talked about it on the broadcast where last year in Summer League he missed 22 straight threes. So to see him actually knock a couple down this game, what he had, 3 threes, he went 3 for 6. That's definitely something you love to see from Jordan Walsh, kind of getting that confidence. You know, his 3rd year in the Summer League. Of course, you're going to expect him to kind of put his foot on the pedal and kind of go and just really show everybody what he's got. But he wasn't only just shooting threes. He was getting down low in the paint, being aggressive, getting a couple dunks, and just really showing his worth with his length and his size. I mean, he does have a little bit of a small frame, but it is a very lengthy frame, and we know the type of player he is and what he could be. And I think he showed a lot of those flashes in this game. That's why, again, it made it so fun to finally see these guys that are on the end of the bench kind of just coming off cold during the year, just trying to give some big minutes, 5-7 minutes, you know, just trying to get something moving for the Celtics this year. But now we're kind of seeing them in a bigger role and seeing what they could actually turn out to be. I think this is the perfect game for Jordan Walsh to kind of gain some confidence.
No, I completely agree. And like we kind of mentioned with Luka Garza and Josh Minott, the 2 signings for the Celtics, they haven't really gotten much opportunity. And similar with Jordan Walsh, they're kind of the guys on the end of the rotation, like we mentioned, get garbage time minutes, don't get time to warm up, don't get time to get ready in fluid motion to really be successful in those dire minutes. So to see him actually have an opportunity to go out on the floor and absolutely dominate, he says obviously he's the vet of this team, being the oldest player on the longest tenured player at least, but I believe is the oldest player as well on this roster. That goes to just show you that he's taking that leadership and putting it out there on the court as well. We also finish out the starting lineup here by looking at the other 2 second-round picks that the Boston Celtics made. Amari Williams and Max Shuga, I think they were saying during the Shuga. So I'm sorry if I was mispronouncing that, but Shuga, really, really solid on the defensive end. Really, really aggressive. I know a lot of people were tweeting that he was at VCU. They played very half-court heavy off defense, so they were in that pressure of you know, just being relentless and giving full court press. And I think that was clearly translating here. He had a couple steals and just playing relentlessly. I think that's going to fit really well in for the main Celtics. And also Amari Williams had a beautiful like cross-court pass to Miles Norris earlier on in the first half. Had a nice little turnaround jumper as well in the low post late in the 4th quarter as well. Had some good screens, getting some good rebounds. Once again, I think the Celtics really hit on these draft picks so far from what we've seen from this first game. And you know, not to give them early reactions that these guys are going to be stars, but I do think that they can definitely fit in for this main Celtics team and at least have some promise. We're not looking and going, maybe they struck out on this guy already.
Yeah, I will say real quick, Jordan Walsh, definitely not the oldest guy on this team. He's only 21, 22 years old. You got to remember, this is the thing.
True. That's true,
in his 3rd year came in at 19 years old. So this is why there's still a lot of time for this guy to kind of get a little bit better on the court. And, I mean, 22 years old, there's guys coming in as a rookie like Baylor Shireman being 24 years old. You know, so there's a lot of promise, like thinking about a guy, you know, you look at a guy on the other side of the court like Gigi Jackson in the same scenario, being a younger guy, kind of getting early experience. So that's another kind of thing to think about when you're looking at a lot of these guys that have been here for a little bit, but now they're kind of getting their volume up on the minutes side on the court and just being able to, you know, show everybody what they got. They still have the age to be in Summer League too, so of course he's going to be here. But again, with those 2 other guys and Matt Shulga, I mean, I love the way that all these guys that you're looking at on the box score, we talked about it before, were with ball handling. I thought that they had some pretty good ball handling, and I felt comfortable with anyone kind of bringing the ball up the court. Amari Williams as well actually had a little bit of a tight handle, which I was definitely surprised. And I think the one thing with Amari is that I kind of wish he got more scoring opportunity. I mean, he went 3 for 3, but we saw a little bit of his post work, maybe a couple dunks, but I mean, we saw one little post up, little baby hook, and that was pretty much it. And that was the one thing I really did want to see more from him, was seeing how he looks in the low block and just seeing what type of footwork he has down low, because we know about his playmaking. But the one thing that I definitely want to see is his rebounding, which he actually did pretty solid today. But I think we need a little bit more than just 3. But there was other guys on the court clearly that were grabbing a ton of rebounds. But I think the rebounding and the scoring is one thing that I'm going to be looking for to their next game.
100%. And yeah, you were correct on the Jordan Walsh take. I completely forgot about that. So that is my bad on that. Just so
Oh,
you
see,
can,
that's the thing. This is his third season.
yeah,
He's be an older guy, but I mean, he's been around. He won the championship. I mean, when you win a championship, I feel like you're kind of marked down as a vet in a way, just
mm,
because you got to the end and you got the finish, and now like you have this different mentality now that you won a championship. So I mean, 21, 22 years old, man. He's still got a lot of room to grow.
100%. And then we'll get into some more guys that really stood out on the bench as well before we kind of get into the other part here. But I think a guy in Charles Bassey is the one to look at here, because if we want to look at from the reports from the Celtics, he wasn't listed on this roster. He was a late addition to the Celtics Summer League, was just shown kind of playing in practice. We saw a picture of him, but, didn't really have like a confirmed report that he was going to be with the team, so didn't really want to talk about it. But he showed up, went to some tryouts or practices with the team, some training camp, and now is playing with the Summer League team. And in his debut, Patrick, 11 rebounds, 14 points, a plus 20. And our good old friend Jack Simone, lucky guest for us on the show, said the Celtics need to sign Charles Bassey. He's been a monster today. Really good rebounder, paint defender for the Summer League, and a good screener too. Obviously could help out the Celtics in that center committee, which we'll tease for a video later on that you guys will definitely be seeing talking about this. But obviously the Boston Celtics could use some center help, and Bassey, a former NBA player with the San Antonio Spurs last season, now a free agent, could be, a late added addition to this team, or at least a two-way guy at most.
This is like the biggest mystery of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden see him peeking in a little Instagram story from the Celtics is like, is that Charles Bassey? I think you were talking about it, that people didn't even recognize that it was him on the court.
Yep.
There is nothing about anything with contracts. I believe the Celtics have two-way contracts that they could give out still, so that's definitely an option for him. And I mean, he played incredible. 14 points, like you said, the 11 rebounds definitely stands out, and the 2 blocks too. I mean, it was all over the place. I mean, did you get a little bit of a Time Lord feel from him, or is that just me?
Nah, he was definitely representing some of that rim protection and high-level shot blocking and rebounding that we saw from Time Lord. And I think he also had that he did catch that alley-oop pass from Baylor Shireman as well to close out the fourth quarter. That was really exciting. You mentioned the 2 blocks. I believe those came like back-to-back as well, like really high succession. So it's just interesting to see what the Celtics can do, and I think you really highlighted him truly, the mystery man on the Celtics team. We'll have to really see what they do, maybe as a two-way guy, or who knows, they do clear open a roster spot down the line with doing some other roster moves or changes. We could see a spot open up for Bassey here for the Celtics, because I think he's definitely going to be someone in the system at least. There's no way that they let him walk away and kind of just stumble off into the distance. Also looking at the bench, Miles Norris also played pretty solid as well. A little bit better of a first half, but one thing I really like about Miles Norris, I don't really know much about him because he was a late addition to the Celtics at the G League late in the year, but he just lets it fly, and he feels confident. He hit that pass across the court from Amari Williams. I'm interested to see what he can bring for the main Celtics this year.
Yeah, I think they said that he averaged 16 points per game in the G League, shooting 39% from 3, which is definitely above average from the 3-point line. I mean, it's the same length, just in a different league, but I mean, just the things that he could do. He's actually pretty quick. I think he's listed a lot shorter than he is. I think we talked about this, and I mean, he just looks so long on the court. But again, I think that he could bring something valuable to them. I think that's what they're trying to figure out with him in the summer league. I mean, he is kind of coming off the bench, but I mean, they also want to see their rookies kind of getting a lot of playing time as well. But I think as the time goes on, I mean, he got 22 minutes, so they're definitely interested with how he's playing. And I mean, hey, G League guy, two-way guy. I mean, what are you going to expect from him more? But if we're talking about some guys also, I really just want to bring up real quick is Kenny Lofton, because I said he was going to be the MVP of the game. But I mean, for that first quarter, he was just grabbing almost every rebound. Speaking of ball handling, loved his ball handling. Maybe his playmaking could get a little bit better where he's a little bit late on a couple decisions. But I love the way that he plays. I mean, he's a little bit smaller, kind of plays that power forward center position, being at like 6'8" about there. And I mean, I think that he's a fun player, too, to kind of watch out for to get that two-way contract, because he totally deserves it. And I think he would fit in well, especially with how many rebounds he got.
Yeah, so the one thing about Kenneth Lofton, and I know a lot of people on the social media side of things weren't really the biggest fan of Lofton today. So, Patrick, you might get some slack for that comment. But I'm going to agree with you with Kenneth Lofton, even though he had some, questionable decision-making with obviously not being able to really make a basket, not really passing that much, and, kind of just focusing mainly on himself. he did help out the Celtics in a lot of ways, and the rebounding was definitely one of them. And I think that having him just kind of down low, especially once again, like you mentioned, two-way, or even if it's just he's on the main Celtics, I think that's kind of a good spot for him to kind of figure that out. Also, like I mentioned, this is just the first game of him as well. We might see him continue to grow within this Celtics rotation, getting a little bit more comfortable within this team. So I definitely will agree with that. My MVP was Isaiah Wong, and unfortunately he didn't do that great today. Even though he only made one shot. He played solid, just his shots weren't falling. But I think if he could kind of get that microwave scoring up a little bit more, he could be a little bit more lethal for the Boston Celtics. And then the final player that we didn't fail to mention was Baylor Scheierman. Not really the greatest performance from Baylor offensively, but playmaking, hustle-wise, being that passer was definitely key. And him and Ugo were kind of sharing those on-ball duties here today, mainly for the Celtics, like you mentioned, alongside Suga as well. I really liked what he was able to do to kind of control this offense. And I think if, we don't see a bad shooting night, a lot of people are a little bit happier with this performance from Scheierman. So I ultimately do think it's just a bad shooting performance, which happens to these type of players, obviously.
Yeah, I think that goes for both Baylor and Kenny Lofton as well.
Yes.
There was a lot of plays down low that Lofton kind of just had a couple just roll right off the front of the rim, as the Celtics shot terribly in the paint today. Inside the three-point line, it was just a terrible shooting performance. We talked about multiple times on the broadcast. So if you weren't to be able to watch it, that's definitely where Kenneth Lofton missed a lot of his shots, going 1 for 8. Baylor Scheierman 2 for 14. And that's one of the guys that I said that I was hoping that was going to play well. Just because I thought he was going to show us a lot, but he didn't lose confidence. Neither did Lofton. They just kept putting him up because they're confident in their shot, and just sometimes it doesn't fall, and that just happens. But I think the one thing from Baylor that I would love to see more is just kind of score at all three levels. They keep talking about it. I mean, he was getting to the paint, taking a couple floaters, but he was taking some deep threes as well. But I think if he just keeps on doing that, maybe mixing some mid-rangers as well, I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And like I said, and like you said as well, I think they just need to get a little bit more comfortable within this rotation. And who knows? We could see next game where both of them are absolutely lethal and making every single one of their shots, and someone else could be struggling. So that's what the takes of Summer League is. But the all-in-out goal of the Celtics winning actually happened, which was absolutely fantastic. And that's just great to see kind of unfold in game one. We got to see some of those uncertainties kind of be asked with the mystery man and Charles Bassey kind of coming through. We saw Ugo Gonzalez, the other mystery man coming from overseas, who wasn't even expected really to play in Summer League, have a standout performance. And then our solid vet Jordan Walsh holding down the rotation and providing some great basketball. Patrick, the Celtics take on Summer League once again on Sunday. I unfortunately will not be available to do a video on Sunday because I'll be at the Big 3. But if we can get something up, we will have something up. If not, we will have stuff for you guys coming Monday, looking at the Boston Celtics and going some things as well. Make sure to stay tuned, hit the subscribe button, and let us know your thoughts on the Summer League breakdown and what your honest reactions were from game one. But it's a decent episode today, and well worth it to dive into all the basketball news from the Boston Celtics. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We hope you do enjoy the video, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a great rest of your night, and go Boston Celtics.